Good evening and welcome to Kini News. Former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad held a joint press conference with Umno's Musang MP Tengku Razaleigh Hamzah today, where he shared some advice for members of parliament.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has urged MPs to think of the common good instead of themselves in the event that the government falls tomorrow. He said this in a joint press conference with Umno's Musang MP Tengku Razaleigh Hamzah.
There is a possibility that tomorrow, when they vote for the third reading of the budget, there is a possibility that the government might lose. But if the government might lose, I hope that those who are in parliament will begin to think not about themselves, but about the nation. We need to see a government that is not motivated by what we get, apa aku dapat, tetapi sebaliknya apa aku boleh sumbang kepada kemajuan negara sendiri. That is okay.
The advice came ahead of the last two committee stage votes for Budget 2021 in the Dewan Rakyat, followed by the final vote at the third reading tomorrow. Based on the previous votes, the opposition do not have enough numbers to defeat the budget, which acts as a proxy confidence vote on Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. Opposition leaders, including PKR President Anwar Ibrahim, have been lobbying government MPs to defect. Tengku Razaleigh said that he's sharing the same platform as Dr. Mahathir, as he believes that Muhyiddin's government is illegitimate.
I am here sharing the platform with Tun purely because I want to make sure that we have a legitimate government. The government we have today is not a legitimate government, and the Prime Minister that is in office today is not a legitimate Prime Minister.
Are you prepared to face disciplinary action from Umno?
What disciplinary action? Everybody can support whoever they want to support.
When pressed on why Mahathir was suddenly raising the possibility of the government losing the last budget vote, he reiterated that the possibility was there. He said if the government lost, he hoped there would be a government that is dedicated to serving the country and the people, and added that the current government parties were occupied with trying to become dominant at the expense of the country.
Past President Abdul Hadi Awang believes that those challenging the Perikatan Nasional government have failed.
Past President Abdul Hadi Awang said that those who are challenging the legitimacy of the Perikatan Nasional government have failed to prove that they do not command a majority in the Dewan Rakyat. Hadi told journalists during a dialogue with the media at a past headquarters in Kuala Lumpur yesterday that this was as the government had won all the votes on the budget so far. He said, despite the slim majority on the votes, it was still considered a win for the government.
Sehingga hari ini mereka yang mencabar gagal. Sama ada undi peringkat dasar belanjawan, undi peringkat jawatan kuasa, kita mendapat kejayaan walaupun menjadi tipis.
In September, opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim had claimed that Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin had lost his majority and that the PKR president had secured a formidable majority to form the new government. Dewan Rakyat Speaker Azhar Azizan Harun has not allowed for Muhyiddin's majority to be tested through a confidence vote. The Budget 2021 vote is seen as a proxy confidence vote that can serve as an alternative to remove Muhyiddin. However, the opposition to date has failed to muster sufficient numbers to defeat the budget.
The presence of 3 MPs wearing full personal protective equipment or PPE in the Dewan Rakyat today prompted a majority of the opposition lawmakers to walk out of a block vote.
Opposition lawmakers staged a walkout from the Dewan Rakyat today during a block vote on the Federal Territories Ministry's budget. This came after Dewan Rakyat Speaker Azhar Azizan Harun allowed 3 lawmakers wearing full personal protective equipment into the Parliament building to vote. The 3, Health Minister Dr. Adam Baba, Human Resources Minister M. Saravanan, and Batu MP P. Prabhakaran, are currently undergoing home quarantine after being exposed to a COVID-19 positive patient.
Pada hari Khamis lalu, terdapat seorang MP dari sebelah sini yang tidak mematuhi perintah kuarantin dan datang mengundi. Saya tak mahu perkara itu berlaku. Lebih baik saya regulate pengundian ni. Kita nak mengundi cepat ni. Kita nak mengundi cepat-cepat supaya dia orang boleh keluar.
Macam ini
Mereka
tak
sebenarnya telah mereka sebenarnya telah didapati negatif.
You are making a mockery of the law.
Mereka
Making a mockery of the law.
Azhar later attempted to repeat his initial explanation that he was only following COVID-19 procedures set by the Health Ministry. But the opposition MPs remained unhappy and eventually walked out to mocking cries from the government bench. The block voting proceeded, and the government passed the ministry's budget with 110 for, 7 against, 31 abstained, and 72 absent. Earlier, before the debate began, Azhar clarified that there were requests from MPs under HSO to attend the sitting today.
Saya dipahamkan pagi ini bahawa terdapat 3 orang yang meminta kebenaran untuk datang. Mereka akan dibawa oleh ambulan memakai PPE dan kita telah sediakan satu bilik untuk mereka duduk, bilik khas. Mereka duduk di situ dan apabila kalau mereka ingin mengundi, mereka perlu memakai PPE yang baru dan mereka akan masuk di public gallery melalui pintu di public gallery itu. Dan undi akan diambil daripada mereka.
Yesterday, it was reported that lawmakers undergoing homestay orders will be allowed to attend Parliament for the process of voting by wearing personal protective equipment. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Taqiyuddin Hassan, had said that there are 3 MPs, including an opposition MP, who are under quarantine as they are close contacts to positive COVID-19 patients.
And now let's take a look at the country's latest COVID-19 situation. This segment is brought to you by Blue Air.
The Health Ministry reported 1,371 new COVID-19 cases today, with 1 imported case. This brings the total number of active cases in the country to 13,830. Out of the local cases, Selangor recorded the highest number of cases with 532. This was followed by Sabah with 283 cases, Negeri Sembilan with 260, and Kuala Lumpur with 124. There were 114 patients in the intensive care unit, with 62 requiring ventilator support. 4 deaths were also reported today. 2 of the deaths were recorded in Sabah, 1 in Perak, and another in Labuan.
Coming up next, the United States has begun its historic first shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine on Sunday. Don't go anywhere, all that and more after this. Welcome back. The United States have launched their first vaccine campaign with the first shipment of COVID-19 vaccine deliveries yesterday.
The first shipments of COVID-19 vaccine in the United States left on trucks and planes early on Sunday, kicking off a historic effort to stop a surging pandemic that is claiming the lives of more than 2,400 Americans a day. Mask-wearing workers at a Pfizer factory in Michigan began packing the vaccine in dry ice early Sunday morning and loaded them onto trucks bound for FedEx and UPS planes that will deliver the cargo across the country. U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, on CBS Face the Nation on Sunday, laid out the ambitious distribution plan for the coming weeks and months.
So we're shipping 2.9 million doses of vaccine. So whenever they get them in arms, that's 2.9 million people getting vaccinated. We'll be getting more and more Pfizer product, and we've got a 12.5 million of Moderna product, assuming that we get approval at the end of this week on Moderna that will ship out very soon thereafter. So 20 million vaccinations this month, and then we think we'll be up to 50 million total vaccinations of people by the end of January, and 100 million shots in arms by the end of February, just with the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines.
In an interview with Fox News on Sunday, U.S. Operation Warp Speed Chief Advisor Dr. Moncef Slawi said that more than 100 million people, or about 30% of the U.S. population, could be immunized by the end of March. The massive logistical effort for the vaccine is further complicated by the need to transport and store the vaccine at -70°C. This requires enormous quantities of dry ice or specialized ultra-cold freezers to maintain temperatures. Meanwhile, delivery drivers are giving the vaccine top priority over holiday gifts and other parcels. They will deliver many of the vaccines into the hands of healthcare providers on Monday. The shipments are the first of 3 expected this week. The federal government is sending the first shipments to more than 600 locations. Although the federal government is coordinating distribution efforts, states have the final say over who gets the first shots. Healthcare workers and elderly residents of long-term care homes are first in line to receive the 2-dose regimen, given about 3 weeks apart. This comes as US regulators late on Friday authorized emergency use of the vaccine, following similar moves by the UK and Canada less than a year after the first cases were reported in the United States.
Germans will be facing a quiet Christmas and New Year this year, with the government announcing a new lockdown lasting throughout the holidays on Sunday.
Germany will close most stores from Wednesday until at least January 10th, cutting short the busy Christmas shopping season as it tightens coronavirus restrictions to try to curb the spread of the disease. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said on Sunday that urgent action had to be taken due to an increase in the number of social contacts. Some regions have already imposed tougher measures as infections grew. Only essential shops such as supermarkets and pharmacies, as well as banks, are to remain open from December 16th. Schools will be closed in principle, and employers are asked to close operations or have employees work from home. Private gatherings will remain limited to no more than 5 people from 2 households, but the rule will be eased slightly for the Christmas holidays so that families can celebrate together. Even though the new national lockdown is coming into force during the festive period, Germans are supportive of the government's decision.
Ja, was halte ich davon?
What do I think about it? It has a big impact on me personally because my shop will have to close.
Oder wird schließen müssen. Ich bin mal gespannt auf die
I'm interested to see if the financial aid is paid promptly.
zeitnah,
I think the measures definitely make sense because the hospital beds are full.
sind sinnvoll, auf jeden Fall, denke ich schon.
The government also announced that it will support affected companies with a total of around $13.3 billion a month. Germany, Europe's largest economy, was more successful than many other European countries in keeping the pandemic under control in the first wave in March and April. However, it has been struggling to contain the infections in the second wave.
Anxious parents waited for answers on their missing children outside of a school in Nigeria following the abduction of hundreds of students by gunmen.
Parents converged on a secondary school in Nigeria's Katsina state on Sunday, begging authorities to save hundreds of boys that had been kidnapped by gunmen. The gunmen, who were armed with AK-47s, had stormed the government-signed secondary school in Kankara district on Friday evening. More than 300 students from the all-boys schools that were taken on Friday remained missing on Sunday. The Education Commissioner said all state schools in Katsina have been ordered to close, as officials did not know the attackers' motives. Binta Ismail said that her child and younger brother were taken by the gunmen. She added that they had not received any updates from the government. On Saturday, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari said in a statement that the military had located the kidnappers in a forest and was exchanging fire with them, aided by air support. In the statement, Buhari condemned the attack in his home state and said that the police and the military were still working to determine how many were kidnapped and missing. Attacks by armed gangs widely known as bandits are common throughout northwestern Nigeria. The groups attack civilians, stealing from them or kidnapping them for ransom. Attacks by Islamist militants are more common in the northeast. Violence and insecurity across Nigeria have enraged citizens, particularly after scores of farmers were killed by Islamist militants in northeast Borno State late last month.
The Selangor Asean Business Conference, or SABC, organized by Invest Selangor, expanded its series of the conference into a virtual platform to continue to provide meaningful connections among speakers and attendees.
The SABC commits itself to empowering tomorrow by gathering regional think tanks, government officials and business communities to engage and discuss ways to move forward as a region.
Although we are not able to meet face-to-face, the use of technology has enabled us to continue our engagement and communications with larger business communities, potential partners, and stakeholders. The Selangor State's main business summit is now hosted on a virtual networking business platform called the Selangor Business Hub, and will continue to have the main elements of a conventional summit where businesses are still able to meet potential exhibitors, attend conferences or seminars, set up discussions, or even collect brochures and contracts. With it being in a virtual format, the summit may be attended by a wider range of visitors from almost every corner of the world and for longer durations of time.
The upcoming webinar, titled ASEAN Growing Economies, Maintaining Regional Prosperity Amid Crisis, discusses on how ASEAN countries survive and continue to prosper amid the recent pandemic. Scheduled on 15 December 2020, to those interested can log on to www.selangorbusinesshub.my.
And that's all the time we have this evening. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. Don't forget that we also post the latest headlines to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. Remember that if you're going out, to maintain social distancing, and also, above all else, please wear a mask. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching.